This is a podcast about both having autism and living with someone who has autism. My mom is Sonya, and I'm Josh, and this is Josh Has Autism.
Hey everybody, welcome to Josh Has Autism.
Hello.
Before we get any further in this, I want to say thank you to everybody out there for giving us 5 stars and for giving us positive reviews. We appreciate that so much.
Yeah.
Yes, and if you don't subscribe, please do so. You can do that at sonyaking.com. It's SONYAKING.com, and that would help us so much. We appreciate it. So, done with my little commercial, I guess. So, Josh, how you feeling today?
Okay, actually.
Yeah?
Yeah, I mean, a little down, but okay.
A little down? You're wearing a shirt that says, I am Groot.
Yes.
And Groot is what?
I am Groot.
I am Groot?
Yes.
Means, what is Groot?
It's not Groot, it's I am Groot.
Right, what's Groot?
No, that's his name, is I am Groot.
Oh, his whole name is I am Groot?
Yes.
Oh, who is he?
He's from Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh.
It's a Marvel thing.
Oh, okay. That's hysterical. So that's his name, I am Groot.
Yes.
That's funny.
That's why it says I am Groot, and then it has a dash and it says I am Groot.
Oh, I guess it does say it twice, doesn't it?
Yeah, as if saying it's a quote.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. All right. All right. So you said you're feeling okay?
A little down, but okay, yeah.
Why are you feeling down?
Just one of those days.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Any reason? Can you place what happened that got you to feeling down?
I had to leave my door open.
Really?
Maybe. I
Really?
like my privacy.
Yes, you like your privacy. So, today's the first day of spring. So, and the weather was beautiful here today.
It was, actually. It wasn't raining.
Yes. And so what we did is throughout the house, we opened the windows and let the air circulate.
Yeah.
And Dad asked you to leave the door open so you could get some, and I asked you to just, open some windows in here. Let the air come through and, get out that stagnant stench. That is your room. So anyway, so you were feeling a certain way, and then when you had to open your door, you felt a different way?
Yeah.
Because even when your door is open, we don't look in there when we go by. And it's not really the only time that we go by is when we have to go to the office.
Yeah.
Office / Connor's bedroom / guest bedroom.
Yes.
Which doesn't happen often.
It happens often enough, though.
So it bothers you if we walk by?
Oh, it just bothers me that the door is open.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really feel like I have a lot of privacy to begin with. You're just shaking your head, the top of your head left and right.
Like, Yeah. Yeah. Because you feel like when we come and knock on your door and ask you to do something that's intrusive, but if we come up with a better plan, we'll go.
Dad has recently been knocking and then opening the door.
Oh. Well, we'll remind him that that's not cool.
Yeah.
Okay. I know the kids did that, and Connor and Maddie, and I've been reminding them, you can't just go in Uncle Josh's room. If you want to say hi to him, you have to knock and wait for him to say, come in, or you have to wait for him to open the door. Mm-hmm. So hopefully they've been respectful.
Yeah, they've been doing better with that.
Good. All right. So it's interesting. So you're talking about the lack of privacy, and the subject that I want to talk to you about today is loneliness. Which doesn't seem you had an issue with that today. You're like telling us all, get out.
Yeah.
But
you know what I prefer to be?
What?
All by myself. No.
Yes.
Honestly, I am I can be in either one of two moods.
Mm-hmm.
One, I want to be by myself, and the other is I want to socialize, which is strange for me.
To socialize?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because, I mean, I'm not... Like, I can be sociable, but I can only do it for so long.
Right. And that's one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about and ask you about, because a lot of times folks on the autism spectrum do need that time alone. I would say, from everybody that I know,
Mm-hmm.
it seems to me that what I get from them is that they prefer more time alone than the people that I know that don't have autism. Now, that's like a totally unscientific study there. It's just an observation that I have from, the different groups of people there.
Mm-hmm.
And you like to be alone a lot.
Yes.
More than you like being with people.
Yes.
And it seems to me that when you have time coming up when you're going to be with people, you kind of have to gear up for that.
Yeah.
Like, you have to have a mindset. You have to know that that's coming up. You're not comfortable with something just being sprung on you.
Right.
You are more comfortable these days with me knocking on your door, saying, "Hey, I'm going to the store. Would you like to get out?"
Yeah.
That seems like it feels different to you.
Yeah, it is.
Probably because it's you and me.
Yeah, one of us buying groceries.
Yeah, and there doesn't have to be a lot of interaction if you don't want. Right. There doesn't have to be a conversation if you don't want. A lot of times it's listening to music.
Yeah.
We're singing to the music.
Yeah.
Like we're rock stars.
Well, I am a rock star.
Well, you do have a good voice.
Thank you. So, a lot of people say that you don't have a good voice, but you do.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Right. I think we went over that one time before on the podcast, how I was told I wouldn't get paid for singing, so
you made it a
in
joke.
my stand-up, I bought a banjo and wrote a stupid song, and I can say, "Hey, I get paid for singing."
Yeah. But in all seriousness, you do have a good voice.
Thanks, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks. I appreciate that. So do you ever feel lonely?
Yeah.
So I think just the population in general, loneliness is a big issue.
Yeah.
It's a big issue because it doesn't matter if somebody has autism or not. You go out into the world, and even if you have a job, you work with people. People are friendly with you. You may be friendly to people. There's a difference in that and having friends.
Yeah.
And so I remember when we first moved to Florida, you left some long-time friends that you had up there.
Yeah.
And we came here, and you were pretty miserable for at least the first year.
Yeah.
And I attribute that to loneliness in part. I know that there were other things going on too.
Yeah.
But just that feeling of isolation that wasn't self-imposed. Right? And that feeling of just it seemed like it was loneliness to me.
It was just straight up depression too.
Yeah. And I think that a person that deals with loneliness on a regular basis, it leads to depression.
Yeah.
I think that that's how that, it progresses. Because it really can take a heavy toll on a person's emotions and then ultimately their physical well-being.
Yeah.
And so I'm just, I'm wondering about that. So when it might be the exact same. I mean, I might be talking about a subject here today that is no different for somebody that has autism versus somebody that doesn't. But we've never talked about this before, so I'm just wondering. So, what does it feel like for you when you experience loneliness?
I guess one of the most prevalent feelings is the feeling that I just want to cry.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that really makes me feel lonely sometimes is that I mean, yeah, we talk on here, but having someone to talk to that isn't you.
Right. Yeah, I get that.
I don't have that very often.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I can't really talk about my feelings with the guys, so...
Wait. Yeah.
No,
I guess because the guys that you're referring to are your friends.
yes, the guys I play D&D with.
And we talked about this before as well. The majority of those guys are on the spectrum.
Yes.
And so what you're saying is talking to other guys on the spectrum about feelings
No.
is not going to happen?
No, that's not what I'm saying.
That's not what you're saying. Okay.
No. We're so dysfunctional that we function okay.
So somebody that feels... Okay, let me try again, Dave. This might be a question that just doesn't even need to be asked, but I just don't know the answer. I don't know if loneliness feels different to somebody that has autism versus somebody that doesn't have autism. So, just if you could explain how that feels to you, then
Sure.
that would be cool.
Sure. Most of the time, whenever I really get these feelings, it seems to just come on suddenly and hit like a sledgehammer. It makes me feel like I just want to cry and just I don't really have someone else that I could really talk to that would understand where I'm coming from that's not you.
Right.
And I mean, you're my mom. I don't necessarily want to always talk to you about my issues.
Right. I get that.
And I mean, I have friends here, yeah, but they're not typically the kind of guys who will.
But you feel like you want to open up to
Right.
in that way.
Right.
Because most of your friends here are people that have autism as well.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, you're out with those guys, you're playing D&D, right?
Yeah.
So it seems like it's not really, doesn't allow really time or the opportunity to bring up your emotions, I would guess.
Right.
And you don't feel comfortable doing that with them anyway?
Well, I mean, I'll do zingers with them, and they'll zing me right back or whatever.
Right, sure.
With jokes and stuff, but it is different than having someone that will understand what I'm feeling and be able to.
we just got distracted. We do this podcast. We send the dogs out of the room typically, and this time they just wanted to come and be in here with us. So we took their collars off with their tags on it so they wouldn't jingle around. And in the meantime, Einstein is over there flipping all over the bed, flinging the pillows everywhere. He just won't stop. He was distracting, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
He even sneezed, if you guys heard that.
Yes. Yes. So, anyway, I'm sorry. What were you saying? But you sent zingers to your friends?
Yeah. And, I mean, we can joke around and just have fun like that. But we wouldn't necessarily talk about deep feelings with each other.
Right. Right. Well, and so when you say that it sounds like loneliness for you turns into depression,
Yes.
and I think a lot of people deal with that very experience, whether they have autism or they don't.
No, I was just about to ask.
Yeah. Because I think what you're describing is something that is kind of universal. Everybody wants that connection. Let me rephrase that, because not everybody wants that connection.
Don't you want somebody to love? Don't you need somebody to love?
So because I'm asking you because I wasn't sure if you felt what loneliness felt like with you. So I think I shouldn't say it the way that I just said it. I always think that people are well served if they have someone in their life that they can talk to.
Yeah.
And I just didn't assume that because you have autism that you don't have those feelings as well.
Right, because I do.
Yeah. And so what I was wondering about is that when you feel lonely, does some of that, is it your preference, like your needs and your preferences, that you'd rather be alone?
For the most part. And whenever I feel like that, I do like to be left alone. But whenever I'm not alone and I want to be, it's kind of frustrating because usually I have to be around people at that point. But whenever I do feel like being around people,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I can't be because I just don't really have anyone that I could talk to about things.
Mm-hmm.
So it's difficult.
Does that happen very often?
Every 2 to 3 weeks
That you just need someone to talk to?
that I feel like crying like that, yeah.
Okay. And so is that depression? When you're at that point, does that feel like depression, or does that feel like, because I don't know if we're talking about, I want to understand and make sure that we're talking about the same
The
thing.
depression and the loneliness coincide with each other and egg each other on.
Okay. Sometimes is it, so you have friends and they are predominantly on the spectrum as well.
Yes.
And so you get together, you have a good time.
Mm-hmm.
That meets your needs in that
Socially.
capacity socially, but they're not people that you can really talk to. I mean, I think that we've established.
I mean, I can talk to them, but not necessarily about deep emotions.
Right. And I don't think that's a surprise for anybody that you have a bunch of guys on game night with autism. They're probably not sharing their deep emotions with one another.
Right.
It's kind of my perception anyway.
Yeah. I mean, that kind of sounds like football night.
Yeah,
like fantasy football or whatever.
Right.
But no, we're just playing D&D.
Would you ever feel, is this feeling ever kicked off by social interactions that don't go well? Like, for example, you have, through your life you've had a difficult time maybe making eye contact, or your nuances, sometimes your subject of interest, that you in the past would take conversation to that subject all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so have you ever had an encounter like that and you left that feeling kind of sad or lonely because that it just didn't work?
Sometimes. But with that said, those sometimes never felt like I was alone per se. It was more they just didn't understand what I was talking about.
Okay, so you didn't take that personally. You didn't go, "Oh, that makes me feel bad," or "makes me sad." You went away from those kind of interactions just feeling like, "Oh, they didn't get what I was saying."
Right.
Okay. All right. That's good. That actually makes me feel better.
Hmm.
I mean, because I don't want you to feel bummed because of,
Because you talked to me?
because I talked to you. That's funny. You just made a joke. Yeah, it was good too. No, that maybe not really, I'd feel kind of bummed if you go out into the world and you start conversation with people and you come away from them, feeling sad or doubting yourself. I would rather you go away from a conversation and go, well, they didn't get it.
Yeah.
But you go away kind of with your self-esteem intact.
Right.
Because it was them, not you.
Right.
Right. So none of your friends have ever talked to you about feeling lonely?
Not really, no. I mean, some of them have had girlfriends and then they broke up for some reason or another, and so they understand that kind of loneliness, but it's never really come up in this kind of conversation,
right,
of just being lonely.
So you need a friend. Like, you need a friend that you can talk to on a regular basis about, right?
Yeah.
That's not a therapist.
Right. I think I got so far with Kayla. One of the reasons was because I could talk to her about stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I did talk to her about stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And she made me feel better about things.
Mm-hmm. That's cool. And so for those of you that didn't listen to that podcast, Kayla is a girlfriend that Josh had for a number of years.
Over 5.
Mm-hmm. And it was a long distance relationship, so there was those conversations, on the phone, and yeah. So you had to talk.
Yeah.
You could just hang out together. You had to talk. You were on the phone.
And one of the cool things that I remember whenever I was with Kayla
mm-hmm.
was we could just sit there in the same room, just reading our own books or whatever,
mm-hmm.
and we'd still feel that companionship together.
Right. I think people that have had relationships that work and click like that would understand completely what you're talking about. That you don't have to fill the space with conversation all the time.
Right.
That you can just be together and it's okay.
Yeah.
Right. And I know that you miss that.
Yeah.
So it's another aspect of who you are that, like, it's a different category of loneliness.
Yeah.
And you would like to have a girlfriend like that in your life again?
Yeah.
You would?
Yeah.
And
great, now I'm all melancholy.
Aw. It's tough stuff. And the things that we're talking about are not isolated to autism or any type of disability.
Right.
Just it's a human nature that I think that for the most part, we think that we feel like, when that connection is something that we have in our lives, it just kind of fills us up in a way. Through friends, because some people, I know some people, they don't ever want to get married. They don't ever want to get married. They don't even want to really have a romantic relationship. But they are filled up by really solid, good friendships.
Yeah.
And they go a long way to keep somebody healthy and happy. So What about your sister? Do you think you could talk to her? Or do you think you could talk to RJ? Because RJ was just here last week doing the podcast with us.
Yeah.
And the two of you share so many things, you know, and you spend time together.
Yeah. I mean, RJ is probably the closest person to do that with for me.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, he has Haley that he talks to, sometimes about the stuff that we talk about. And some of the stuff I don't want Haley to talk to me about.
Well, you could probably ask RJ to not share stuff with your sister.
Yeah.
You know, it's not something that I feel like he would honor that.
Yeah.
And I feel like she would completely respect that.
Yeah.
And would feel good about that you have somebody that you can, you know, confide in, I guess, and just, you know, get that stuff off your chest and you know, get some feedback. But I feel very confident in that she would not be interested in prying. So maybe you can do that. Maybe you can talk to him, start talking to him about some stuff. Yeah. Because I bet that the two of you have a lot in common when it comes to that. Because, like I said, somebody can feel lonely even in a room full of people.
Yeah.
Even if they're with their best friend. Even if they're with their
significant other.
Exactly. And people can still feel lonely. And that's just something that, you know, like I said, being alone and being lonely are two different things. So the fact that you like to be alone a lot doesn't mean you're lonely a lot. You agree with that?
Yes. Sorry, I was yawning.
Yeah.
Trying to do it quietly, but...
So, I think that's a good idea. Maybe you can start doing that.
Okay. It's something I can certainly try.
Yeah. Yeah. That'd be good.
Yeah.
So, it feels to me like that's a pretty good, like, kind of direction.
Yeah.
That this conversation has led you to, maybe to open up to RJ. And I mean, he's a really good guy, and I feel like he cares about you, and he feels some of the same things that you do. Like we talked about last week, he deals with anxiety. Anxiety first and foremost, and that sometimes leads to depression. You deal with depression that will lead to anxiety. Yeah. So anyway, and even though that's, you know, opposite from one another, you're still feeling
the same emotions.
Yeah. So I think you probably really get what it is that you're feeling and, you know, have to say. And it might be good for him too, to maybe be able to open up to you. You know? Yeah. That may be good for both of you.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Maybe we can make a podcast out of it.
Yeah. And share all the stuff that you don't want anybody else to know about.
We could name it the Super Secret Everybody Knows Club.
That's funny. Sometimes I read somewhere that loneliness can be attributed to like internal factors like low self-esteem. And like people who lack confidence in themselves, they believe that they're like, I don't know, they just don't really seek out that connection with people. And it can lead to isolation and loneliness. That's not you, right?
Not really.
I didn't think so.
What was the first part of it again?
That loneliness is kind of been attributed to low self-esteem.
Well, I have low self-esteem.
And lack of confidence.
Yeah, a little bit. But it's not necessarily because I'm lonely.
No, I think the loneliness comes from that. Like somebody that maybe doesn't have the... You talk to lots of people all the time.
Yeah.
And that's something that you've learned.
Yeah.
You know, you walk into a situation, you look people in the eye, and then You talk to them, you smile, you're very cordial. Nobody can see that you're going, oh my gosh, I gotta get out of here.
Yeah, apparently I would also flirt with people in high school, and I didn't even know it.
Oh, really?
That's what you and Haley told me.
Oh, no.
Oh, they'd flirt with me?
Correct.
Oh.
Correct. Yes. Well, you're very handsome. You're very, very handsome, and you're a gentleman, very respectful, and
Oh, please don't stop.
So yeah, we saw it all the time. Oh no, this got deep in here. Should have worn my boots.
No, I don't know if that statement of loneliness being attributed to those things. I don't know if that's the case or not. Mm-hmm. It does not seem to be with me. Mm-hmm. But I don't know how other people view it. So
right. Well, I think what happens is it can lead to, if somebody has low self-esteem, they don't, feel confident in themselves, and they have a harder time interacting with other people and maybe taking that step because, maybe they don't think that they warrant the attention or, so it can be tough, and then those things lead to physical issues because that leads to a high stress level.
Yeah, anxiety.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it can lead into antisocial behavior. So if you don't feel good about yourself, there's not that much. You're going to hold back on your interaction with people.
Well, I have autism. What's your excuse? No. No, I don't think you've ever had that problem, really. Of low self-esteem.
No, I think everybody does it sometimes. Sometimes
I know that whenever I was growing up, it wasn't a thing of where I was overconfident or underconfident or anything like that. I just did what I did.
All right, sure.
And it only came about after being in college some that I started to get low self-esteem.
Right.
And it's not that I feel that I'm not worth anything. It's just that my current lack of success in regards to college has really made it's been difficult for me.
Sure.
To try and move past that. Because I have so many people rooting for me. And I don't want to let them down, and it's just people keep telling me, you can do this, Josh, and I'm like,
Right, yes, I get it. Yeah. I get it. Easier said than done, right?
Yeah,
I get it. Well, I don't really know, in regards to that, I do believe that you can be successful in college. I just believe that it's got to be the right school. It's got to be the right program. It's and it's got to be one that you really want to be successful in.
Yes.
And without that, it's not going to work. But I really do believe that you are intelligent enough and capable enough to make it work. And so just don't, if that's something you want, don't give up on that, because it could happen.
Because I'm awesome.
Because you're awesome. But anyway, I don't really know what else to say about this subject, about loneliness. I feel like we got someplace.
I know where it can continue.
Where?
I know that some people feel like they have no one they can go to. When I know that I don't necessarily like coming to you and Dad and and other people about how I'm feeling about things, but you're always an option.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that some people don't necessarily see it like that. Granted, I also know that their life experiences are different.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But I guess the point I'm trying to make is that loneliness loneliness does not mean that you're alone. Because there's always somebody there you can talk to. You just have to
seek them out.
Yeah.
Like in this conversation, you didn't think to talk to RJ about this. So maybe somebody that's listening that feels like they need someone to hear what they're having to say, to kind of change that frame.
Yeah.
You know, that's the way that it's framed. Just change that. Look at it from a different angle, and maybe they can find somebody in their life that they and
think of it like a camera. You point it in a certain direction.
Mm-hmm.
You see what the camera can see, but if you pan the camera,
mm-hmm.
there's a lot more to see than just what the camera initially picks up.
Right. And it's important to make connections with people.
Yeah. Sometimes it's tedious.
Yeah.
Sometimes you really don't want to do it.
Yes.
But it's a good thing to have.
Yeah. It's helpful.
Yeah.
It's helpful for your physical body too, because
mm-hmm.
a lot of things that stress can lead to by, we just said that the loneliness can cause depression, can cause elevated stress, so definitely for those of us that have sent emails and you haven't heard back, please know that I have had troubles with my email lately, and it has not. As a matter of fact, my text had issues too. I was standing right next to your dad.
Mm-hmm.
He asked for my brother's contact information.
Mm-hmm.
He was standing right next to me. I went to my phone, got it, sent it to him, and that was a week ago, and he never got it.
Seriously?
Yes. So anybody that's out, if you've sent me a text, or if you've sent me an email and you haven't heard back from me, it's not because I don't want to respond. It's because I've been having issues with things. So if in a couple weeks I haven't responded, please resend to me, because it matters, because you matter, and I want to make sure that I'm able to respond to you. So I'm glad that I remembered to say that, because it's goofy.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, But, so if somebody's out there and you're feeling lonely and you need, like Josh said, just look to people that are around you and look at it in a different way.
Yeah. And you can always ask if they know someone you can talk to.
Mm-hmm.
If not them.
Right. It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. Well, I think we're done today.
Okay.
You have anything else to say?
No. Not really.
So, I know we started with this. I Am Groot is the name of a character, the whole name. I Am Groot.
Oh,
so
that's all he says.
If you said to him, "Hey, I am Groot," that's what you have to say? Like you'd have to...
No. He's sometimes referred to as Groot by everyone else, because everyone shortens nicknames and stuff.
Okay.
I don't even know if I Am Groot is his actual name or not. I just know that Groot is...
Okay.
It's the shirt itself that says I Am Groot, and then it has the dash and says I Am Groot beneath it, like a quote would say
it. Right.
But that I Am Groot is all that this character says.
Okay. That's funny to me. Oh, my goodness.
He's also voiced by Vin Diesel.
Oh, okay. Well, that's kind of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. We really appreciate it. I know you hang out with us week after week, and it means so much to us, and we really do appreciate you. And we're excited. Next week, there's a book coming out by... there's 7 moms that have written a book. 7 moms that have children with autism. They've gotten together. They've written a book and collectively. And she's going to be on the podcast. One of those moms is going to be on the podcast next week.
Awesome.
Yep. So I'm looking forward to that. Yeah.
I'm almost frightened to ask how that's going to go.
Oh, I think it's going to be great.
Yeah, for you. I don't know about for me, though.
You'll do fine. Yeah, it'll be cool. Anyway, everybody, thank you so much. I hope you're having a great day. Love you.
Bye.